Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show here on iHeartRadio. And yes, I know it's been a while. Look, I only have to blame it on the winter storms here in Texas. I know we've been off the air for a little while, mostly thawing out from the frigid temperatures that hit the Houston area, which included ice and snow. Folks, it was something that Houstonians haven't seen in nearly 30 years, but all is good now, and we are able to get on with the business. And I would have to say, thank goodness to my U.S. Army survival training from time spent over in Germany during those brutal winters that prepared me for this winter event. Not to mention the time I spent up in Illinois when it was, 10 below with the wind blowing. Sometimes it seemed like it was cutting you with a knife. But anyway, I was fortunate that I didn't lose my electricity or water. And I know so many people did. And believe it or not, even as I do this podcast, there are people that are still without water, I would say, and busted pipes, and people are having to boil water and all of that stuff. I think electricity is probably on for the majority of people. Maybe some people here and there still don't have power, but not good, not good. And I did open my home to some friends who did lose electricity and stuff like that. So all is good now. Temperatures are back in the high 60s today. So I'm a little bit more prepared now to talk some sports, feeling somewhat relieved that people are getting back on their feet. I just didn't feel doing the show was my top priority. With all that was going on here in Texas, just a week before all of that, I was just getting back from Tampa, Florida. It was, 80 degrees down there, hanging out with Mr. Picks, doing a show down there. Had a great week of interviews with the Buccaneers and the Chiefs, not to mention some former players we haven't heard from in a while. And by the way, if you haven't had a chance to listen to any of those shows from those podcasts where we were down there in Florida, we had some great folks. We had Brandon Copeland, linebacker from the New England Patriots, Jay Richardson, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jay. Jay Richardson from the former linebacker for the Oakland Raiders. We had him on. We also had former cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Deron Cherry, who is, I guarantee you, folks, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame next year. If not next year, I don't even want to say the year after because he's well overdue. But and we talked about that during the interview. So go and check those out, okay? I highly recommend you listen to those. You can catch them here on the iHeartRadio podcast app or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. The Mean Gene Show is on Spotify, Pandora, and Amazon Music as well. So make sure you do that. So, what are we talking about today? You may be asking. Well, it's the NBA, of course. It's about that time. The season is moving so freaking fast. And of course, now while I was in this deep freeze here in Texas, the NBA decided to move along with their plans for an All-Star game. Now, this comes as several key players, including LeBron James, were adamantly against playing in an All-Star game. But we know the NBA lost tons of money last year, and not having the NBA All-Star game was not an option for Adam Silver and the NBA Board of Governors. So this is what we know so far as what's going to happen with the NBA All-Star game. It is going to be held March 7th in Atlanta, and most of the proceeds will be supporting HBCUs and the COVID-19 and equity efforts. So now here's another unique thing. The NBA All-Star Game and Skills Competition is going to take place in one night, and this is going to be for the first time. So all of this on-court action is going to take place beginning 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, of course. Where else would it be, right? So that is what we do know. Now, this was actually announced last week. The Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, and the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, lead the list of 10 players who have been selected by fans, current NBA players, and a media panel to start in the NBA All-Star Game. James and Durant will serve as team captains for the Team LeBron versus Team Durant matchup and draft the rosters from the pool of players voted as starters and reserves in each conference. So, TNT is going to air the All-Star Draft on Thursday, March 4th. Mark that down on your calendars at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay? So, now listen to this also. The NBA All-Star Game starters will comprise of two guards and three front court players in each conference. All right, so now this was announced last week on TNT. Along with LeBron James, who is in the front court, the Western Conference starter pool includes Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, who's a guard, Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic is a guard, the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, front court, and the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard in the front court. Over in the Eastern Conference, you have Durant, who is in the front court. He's going to be joined in the starter pool by the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's in the front court. The Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal, who is a guard. The Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid in the front court. And the Nets, Kyrie Irving, who is the guard. So those are your starters, your all-star starters. Now, I'm going to tell you what's unique about this is the amount of international players selected. Last year was 4. How about this year? It's 5. 5 international players voted in the All-Star game. This is a record, folks. And you got Antetokounmpo. He's from Greece. You got Luka Doncic. He is from Slovenia. Joel Embiid. He is from Cameroon. Kyrie Irving is from Australia. And Jokic. He is from Serbia. This is really going to be interesting. And speaking of interesting, folks, how about this? Over in the Western Conference, Steph Curry has been selected to his 7th All-Star selection. Luka Doncic, this will be his 2nd All-Star selection. LeBron James, 17th All-Star selection. As a matter of fact, I do believe that he has a streak that began in his second NBA season back in 2004-2005 season. This would be Nikola Jokic's 3rd NBA All-Star selection, Kawhi Leonard's 5th All-Star selection, and I believe I missed one. Nope, I think I got them all over there in the West. How about over there in the East? It would be Giannis Antetokounmpo's 5th All-Star selection, Bradley Beal's 3rd All-Star selection, Kevin Durant's 11th All-Star selection. This would be his 11th straight season in which he has played. Joel Embiid, this will be his 4th All-Star selection. And what's interesting about Joel Embiid, Embiid is the first Philadelphia player selected to start 4 consecutive All-Star games since guess who? Guess who? Come on, you know. Allen Iverson was named as a starter 7 times in a row back in 2000 all the way through 2006, okay? You thought I was going to say Dr. J, didn't you? Nope. All right. And Kyrie Irving, this will be his 7th All-Star selection now. So the interesting thing about Kyrie Irving, folks, is that he has actually been voted to start in the All-Star game with 3 different franchises, okay? Remember, he was a Cleveland Cavalier All-Star. He was a Boston Celtics All-Star. And now he is a Brooklyn Net. All right. So pretty interesting. And the same thing goes for Kevin Durant. He was a Oklahoma City Thunder All-Star, a Brooklyn Net All-Star, and a Golden State Warrior All-Star. So that's interesting as well. And just the not golden, but the little nuggets that comes along with all of these all-star selections, and of course, nothing greater than the 17 all-star appearances that LeBron James has been part of. And that's why, it is funny too, folks, that we have gone from should we really play an all-star game? And of course, it is my job, along with everyone else in the media, to build this thing up. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So there's more interesting information coming about the All-Star game, including the rules and the formats. I'm going to have all of that information for you right after the break. Once again, you're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on iHeartRadio. Hey, once again, this is Mean Gene, Sports Machine, folks. Hey, I have to tell you a little story here. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a water treatment system or water softener system because I live in the state of Texas, and any of you that live in the state of Texas, you know that the water is just completely bad. I mean, it leaves stains on everything, and if you have sensitive skin, it will have you itching and scratching like crazy. So anyway, I bought this system, but I didn't have anyone to install it. So I had to get on Home Advisor and try to figure out, okay, who's going to install this system. So, hey, I found some people, right? So, Soft H2O, Soft H2O. All right. These folks are dedicated to providing clients with the very best in installation, service, and repair for your water treatment system. This company is built on honesty and integrity. They take pride in the quality of their work and commitment to outstanding results. They look forward to building long term relationships with their clients and guarantee your satisfaction. Folks, they came in, they installed my system. My water is nice, clear, clean, and all that great stuff. Definitely worth the call, the effort, the money spent. Give them a call now. 210 area code 441 1641. 210 441 1641. You can also go to their website. It's softh2otexas.com. Softh2otexas.com. Tell them you heard it on the Mean Gene Show, and hey, they're gonna take care of you. Okay, just give them a call. All right, 210-441-1641. Okay, once again, we are back. You are listening to the Mean Gene Show here on iHeartRadio, and we're talking NBA in particular. We're talking NBA All-Star announcement. The NBA All-Star game will take place March 7th, 2021 on TNT. Make sure you are tuned in. Right before the break, we talked about the NBA All-Star format, and that's what we are going to get into now. It is the competitive format, which will be the same as the one they used in 2020. And I am going to explain this, and I'm probably going to lose most of you because to explain this and have you listen to me might be a little bit more difficult than when you can actually visually see this. Okay, so this is a podcast. This is not a TV show, so I don't have anything to show you. But anyway, I'm going to try to do my best and explain this. So in each of the first three quarters, it's going to begin with the score 0-0, and this is going to last for 12 minutes. Okay, so now the winner of each 12-minute quarter, the first, second, and third, will be the team that scores the most points within that quarter. Do you follow me? Okay, so now when we get to the fourth quarter, the game clock is going to be turned off. All right, so you're not really going to have it's 0-0. Okay, and you are going to have a final target score is going to be set. All right, so once that final target score is set, teams are going to play for an untimed fourth quarter, and the first team to reach or surpass that final target score is going to win the NBA All-Star game. All right, so now you're probably asking, well, what is this final target score and how does that work? So the final target score will be determined by taking the leading team's total cumulative score through those three quarters. All right, so even though we said the clock is going to be turned off, well, those scores are still going to be, counted. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take those scores from the first, second, and third quarters, and you're going to add 24 points to that. So now, where does 24 come from? Well, the NBA incorporated those 24 points into the calculation of the final target score to honor the late Kobe Bryant, who wore number 24 for the final 10 seasons of his career. You might remember that Kobe Bryant, who lost his life tragically last January 2020. So that's how you got that. So an example. So, and I'll try to. This is where it really is going to get kind of difficult. So if you go back to look at last year's NBA All-Star game, Team Giannis, they scored 41 points, 51 points, and 41 points in the first three quarters. So that would have been a total score of 133 points. And then Team LeBron, they scored 53 points, 30 points, and 41 points in the first three quarters for a total of 124 points. And that was through three quarters. So the score really was Team Giannis 133 and Team LeBron 124. So now as a result, the final target score was set at 157. All right. And so the leading team's cumulative score of 133, and they needed 24, right? So at the start of that fourth quarter, you had some scenarios. Team Giannis needed 24 points in the fourth quarter before Team LeBron scored 33 points, or Team LeBron needed 33 points in the fourth quarter before Team Giannis scored 24 points. So what actually happened is Team LeBron reached the final target score first and defeated Team Giannis 157 to 155. And Team LeBron outscored Team Giannis 33 to 22 in the fourth quarter. So uh, if I failed to make any sense here, just watch TNT on March 7th, and they're going to break it down again for you. It works better when you can visually see what I'm talking about. And I know most of you are like, "Stop it, Mean Gene! You're killing us here. You're killing us here." But anyway, that was my best shot at trying to explain how the competitive format is going to work for the NBA All-Star Game, much just like last year, and then to try to explain how the final target score works. Because I know last year, and I guess I didn't pay attention last year, because I was looking at the first, second, and third periods and how the clock was set, and then all of a sudden the fourth quarter started, and it was like a free for all. I'm like, what the hell? So now I'm able to know what's going on, so I can explain it to you, and it all makes sense. And lastly, before we get into the NBA standings, folks, it should be noted that the head coaches for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference NBA All-Star teams over in the East, no surprise, Doc Rivers, whose Philadelphia 76ers are in first place in the East. His staff will coach the Eastern All-Stars, and over in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, Quin Snyder, Quin and his staff will coach the Western All-Stars. So congratulations to Quin Snyder and Doc Rivers for their selections as coaches for the NBA All-Star Game on March 7th, 2021, State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. So let's get into the NBA regular season standings, and this is as of February 21st, 2021, and I'm almost certain that they are updated from the games last night. We're going to start over in the East, okay? Philadelphia 76ers 20-10. And, this is really incredible. Doc Rivers, one of the most underrated coaches out there. This guy has won everywhere he's been, won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. Couldn't get it done with the Los Angeles Clippers, and I think they pulled the plug on Doc a little bit too soon. But, good things happen to great people, and Doc Rivers is a great individual. So, I mean, to see what's happening and for him to just come in there and grab the bull by the horn and get it done with the 76ers. I mean, look, 76ers were not getting it done with Brett Brown, and it's clearly showing. I mean, they haven't really had that much of a change in personnel. I mean, some players perhaps, but still the nucleus of that team is there, and Doc Rivers is doing well. The shocker, of course, now and over in the East is the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets are a game and a half behind the 76ers, so that's going to be nice. The Brooklyn Nets, they are turning things around, folks. They are currently on a 5-game win streak, so it's going to be interesting to see how things go. Maybe before the All-Star break, they might be in first place. Who knows? But I don't know. There's a lot of games left to play. The season is not an 82 game season, but the Brooklyn Nets are looking good. They are turning things around now with that star-studded lineup that they have. Milwaukee Bucks are in third place with a record of 17-13, 3 games behind the 76ers. Boston Celtics right there in that 4 seed. Indiana Pacers 15-14. The Toronto Raptors 15-15. Right now, the Charlotte Hornets are your 7th seed, 14-15. The Knicks are 14-15. Now, because I have the NBA package, so I get to see the Knicks play a lot. Believe it or not, every team, with the exception of the Knicks, are on some sort of win streak over there in the East, and they're gonna need it because you got some records over there that are just not so thrilling to see. But the East is sort of like what it used to be. You got some subpar records. Now wait till I get over to the West, you're gonna see what I'm talking about because the Western Conference is still the more premier conference. But watch out for those Brooklyn Nets. Right now, I do believe they have the best win streak there in the NBA with 5 games in a row. I think it had belonged to the Utah Jazz there at one time, but now the Brooklyn Nets have the longest win streak in the NBA. But not really sure what's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, and it's something we're going to probably talk about here in future shows. I mean, now that none of the teams in the bubble, you still, even though there's not much crowd in stands, some arenas don't have any crowds at all, but still the travel in the sense of some sort of normalcy for NBA players, they have to, board a plane and fly. And so the home record for the Milwaukee Bucks is 10-4. Their road record is 7-9. Actually, the road record for almost every team in the East is negative. Is under 500, with the exception of the Pacers. The Pacers are the only team with a winning record. Well, I'll take that back. Other than the Nets, now the Nets are 8-7 on the road, but the Pacers are 8-5 on the road. So I don't know. Maybe the Pacers like playing away from home, but the team with the best record at home is the 76ers, and it's showing. They are getting it done. They're 7-8 on the road, but it's hard to beat them in Philly, and it's going to be interesting to see how things are turn out. Now, as looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, they are 8-0 in the division. Now, unlike the NFL, divisions sort of matters, but in the NBA, divisions don't really matter as much. The Milwaukee Bucks are the 3rd seed. They're 8-0 in their division. It doesn't matter at all. We know that it's just those 8 teams, and I think the NBA is going to do that play-in thing where that 9th seed right now, which is the Chicago Bulls, might have an opportunity to play in. I think they're going to stick with that format, and we're going to see how that's going to happen. But that is your Eastern Conference standings right now. So look out for the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, who hasn't played in a couple of days, and we're going to talk about this in the future here on the Mean Gene Show, and get people's thoughts. When I do the live stream show on Podbean, definitely like to take some callers and stuff and just kind of see what's going on with players that are resting. Teams now, they have that luxury of resting players, this, that, and the other, which is something I probably don't agree with because I'm old school, but a lot of teams are doing that. So Kevin Durant will be playing here pretty soon, but the Nets are really doing well. He hasn't played in a couple of games, but they're on that 5 game win streak. Let's go ahead and look at the Western Conference. And I will say the Miami Heat are 13-17. They're on the rise. They beat the Lakers last night. They're currently on a 2 game win streak. So watch out for the Lakers. Also watch out for the Raptors, who I failed to mention. They're on a 3 game win streak. So the Raptors, the Miami Heat, the 76ers, and the Nets are all the hot teams right now as far as winning streaks over in the Eastern Conference. Over in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz was just steamrolling. Now, right now, they have a 2.5 game lead over the Clippers and the Lakers now. Lakers losing last night to the Miami Heat. They are now in 3rd place. They're tied with the Clippers. The Clippers, I believe they play the Brooklyn Nets tonight, which should be a good game. Okay, so that's going to definitely be some must-see TV. The team with the best winning streaks over in the West now are the Phoenix Suns and the San Antonio Spurs. Give it up to Greg Popovich, man. You know, the Spurs didn't make the playoffs last year. What, first time in some 20-something years, Popovich now has his team at 16-11. Look at the records over in the Western Conference as opposed to what I just said over there in the East. Jazz 24-6, Clippers 22-9, Lakers 22-9. Phoenix Suns, your fourth seed, 19-10. Portland Trailblazers, 18-11. San Antonio Spurs, 16-11. Your sixth seed. The Denver Nuggets, 16-13. Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are 16-15. They are your eighth seed. Everyone is above 500. So the West is just so much more competitive, and you just get better production. Even look at the road records there. You know, we said the best road record over in the East was 8-5. Well, look at the road records over in the West. The Jazz 11-4, Clippers 11-4, Lakers 13-3, Portland Trailblazers 10-5, the Suns 9-5, the Spurs 9-3. I mean, everyone in the West has a winning road record. So it's interesting, very, very interesting and very competitive. Now, does that mean that the West is going to win the NBA championship? That's yet to be proven, okay? So a lot of people are going to be watching this Clippers and Brooklyn Nets game. Now, I'm not really on that bandwagon of the Brooklyn Nets, but they are looking pretty damn good. And that 5-game win streak is something to pay attention to. They're going to get it together. They sort of remind me of the Miami Heat when LeBron James went down there with Bosh and Ray Allen and Wade and all of those guys. They got it together. And one of the reasons why I'm not such a big bandwagoner of the Brooklyn Nets is because they lack leadership, but that could change though. That really could change. It won't take much for someone to just step up and take control. James Harden is becoming impressive with them, and if he's taking that role of a point guard and which is somewhat of a leader and not trying to hit 50 points or whatever, like he did in Houston. Watch out for the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, things could get interesting. So that's what's going on there. Very disappointed in the Houston Rockets. They are 11-17. Just got word here that the Rockets are going to part ways with DeMarcus Cousins. And it just looked like they're going to go small ball. They don't have Christian Wood or DeMarcus Cousins, so I don't know how the hell they're going to win any games. And they are one of the few teams that are allowing fans to watch their games. I don't know what fans are going to want to see the Rockets if they're not going to be competitive. They lose Cousins, no Christian Wood. I don't know how many more games the Rockets are gonna win. Right now, they have lost 7 games in a row, and it's not going to get any better for the Houston Rockets moving forward. So that is the NBA standings, folks, and we will come back next week and get you caught up on more NBA action. So I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We tried to get you up to date on the NBA All-Star, the reserves. We'll talk about the reserves here once those guys are selected, and then we'll get you pumped up a little bit more and get you excited about the NBA All-Star game and when that as we get closer to that. Okay, so hey, now that we are thawed out and we got electricity, we got water, everybody should be good, hopefully. And if you were able to help somebody, good for you. And hopefully everyone is rebounding from the winter storm. So hey, we are going to get off here and we'll come back next week. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Once again, you listen to the MeanGene Show right here on iHeartRadio.